to talk about, but basically, Lara makes Danny Garcia fold. I think at the end of the ninth round, he basically hit Danny Garcia with like a leaping like jab like punch, and Danny Garcia instantly went down. And basically, Angel Garcia had enough. Throughout the fight, Danny Garcia did not look like he was into this fight. He barely threw punches. He just didn't do anything. He literally didn't try to do anything. It was almost like he was, practicing. Like he was shooting a film or something, practicing boxing. Or just practicing throwing punches for like a video game. Danny Garcia absolutely did nothing throughout the fight. Angel Garcia kept asking Danny, "Hey man, are you okay? Are you okay?" And Danny, listen, Danny need to retire. This was one of the worst fights I ever saw in my life. This is up there with Klitschko and Tyson Fury. This was a terrible fight. It was an eyesore. Go to my Instagram and take a look at the pictures and the reactions to people watching this fight. I was like, is anything gonna happen? And I'm just gonna tell the truth about these PBC fighters that you PBC apologists don't want to accept. It's a facade with the PBC brand. Why you think they have a losing record when they fight outside the PBC brand against Top Rank and Matchroom and some of the other, and Golden Boy? Now you see why Al Heyman wouldn't let Danny Garcia near Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford would have probably ended Danny Garcia's career if they would have fought. At the end of the day, the PBC fighters, with the exception of Tank, but then again, we want to see Tank fight better competition, and David Benavidez. I think those are the best fighters that they got on the roster. And we're going to have to see how Errol Spence looks when he returns to the ring. But now you see why Al Heyman was protecting his fighters and basically holding Bills hostage. Danny Garcia is a prime example. And he's further exposing the PBC brand. Now you see why, after Danny Garcia was offered $3 million to fight Terence Crawford at Madison Square Garden, and then you have these clowns like Ryan Garcia and Ellie Setback trying to dismiss Terence Crawford's resume. Terence Crawford would have beat all those dudes. He would have beat every last PBC fighter they put in front of him, from Keith Thurman to Errol Spence to Danny Garcia. He would have beat all of them. But then Terence Crawford's resume is measured by the fact that he didn't fight a lot of the PBC fighters. Danny Garcia, please, and I like Danny Garcia, don't care much for his father though, but for God's sake, Danny, retire, dude. I don't want to see you get splattered. Hopefully he announces his retirement. Keep in mind, Danny Garcia hasn't fought in 2 years. And this is what happens. Al Heyman keeping these dudes on the shelf and stuff. Ring rust. Worried about when their next paycheck is coming in. Paying these dudes in supplements and stuff. See, I'm the only dude that's brave enough to call out the PBC and Al Heyman. This is why they have banned me from covering PBC main events. This is why I've been banned. This is why I've been blacklisted. Because I told the truth about Al Heyman. But then you fake Hotep pro-black niggas trying to call somebody coons and stuff that basically call Al Heyman out on his BS. That was tragic. And then as far as Lara go, he should have just stepped on the gas. He could have ended this. This is why they don't like to make him a main event fighter. I mean, they was booing profusely in that fight. It was like an eyesore trying to watch that fight. But for God's sake, Danny Garcia, please retire, man. I'm begging you to retire. Before somebody, Danny Garcia is gonna get, I don't want to see Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia was completely somewhere else. It's like that song by the OJs. Your body's here with me, but your mind is on the other side. Danny Garcia, wherever his mind was, it wasn't in that boxing ring. And if Danny had fought a killer or something, Danny would have got seriously hurt. I'm keeping it 100. Danny would have got laid out. All right, let me block this dude because he sounds like an idiot. Well, first of all, Lara isn't anybody's soft touch. He a good fighter, but then he just don't bring it. He fights too cautious. You know, when he tried to basically go balls to the wall with Jared Hurd, you see how that fight turned out. But at the end of the day, that's what boxing is all about. Sometimes you got to take chances. Oh, well, you already know. You already know what's up with that. They only got a problem when a brother says something or you know, act out of character, as they like to call it. But it was an eyesore. Yeah, it was an eyesore to watch that fight. Well, some people call it poetic justice, but now you guys see the truth. The truth just starting to come out about the PBC brand. I'm just telling the truth. Now you guys see why. Now you guys see why a lot of these fights didn't get made. And, you know, this is why there's hesitation to make Fundora versus Terence Crawford, because they feel like the same thing could happen. But like I said before, it was just poetic justice, you know, just seeing what was going on and stuff. So, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, whew, Lord. Well, I mean, isn't that always the case? So, you know, I'm just saying. I think we at the point we need to just tell the truth about the PBC. Inactivity, questionable lack of payments. And now that Al Heyman is back, this is what, like I said, now you guys starting to see the truth. Now you're seeing why the PBC started losing TV deals, because the networks were seeing it. Because Al Heyman refused to give them big fights, the fights that they wanted to see. All this stuff about the other side of the street and all that stuff, it was capped. The fights could have got made. I'm going to just say this about Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia was a good fighter, but he wasn't a great fighter. He really didn't do anything. He lost most of all his big fights at 147. He didn't really do, he only had one fight, I think, at 154. And then he moves up to 160. And then basically he literally does absolutely nothing. I mean, he didn't do nothing. Like, I'm saying this as a fan and as a dude, y'all know, I'm a media member. Danny could have got, he lucky that Lara ain't no killer, because Danny could have got seriously hurt. He could have got seriously hurt. And for him to just lay down like he did, he didn't want to fight. If I was Angel Garcia, I would have considered stopping the fight like in the 7th round. I would say, hey, when he kept asking Danny, hey man, what's wrong with you? There was nothing there. No, Danny was solid at 140, but when he moved up, he lost all his big fights at 147. He lost to Sean Porter, he lost to Keith Thurman, he lost to Errol Spence. The Errol Spence fight, he didn't do, and the funny thing is, if you go back to the Errol Spence fight, he did nothing in the Errol Spence fight. It was like watching. Danny need to retire. And then he was sitting up saying he wanted to fight Terence Bud Crawford. What, to die? He wanted to die? He would have been target practice. Terence Crawford would have ended that fight in 4. When I say Danny Garcia would have been target practice for Terence Crawford, and the sad part about it is they would have blamed it, the Terence Crawford haters, they would have blamed it all on him. And you know who they are, the least attorney and a few other people, they would have all tried to blame this on Terence Crawford. Now you see why Al Heyman didn't let Danny Garcia near Terence Crawford. First of all, you're wrong. First of all, you got to make a decision that's best for the fighter. You go by, if you the trainer and you see something that's not right, if you have to keep asking somebody, hey man, what's wrong? I would have told Danny straight up, hey man, you don't give me something, I'm stopping the fight. So at the end of the day, sometimes you got to make a judgment decision. Danny Garcia was just circling around the ring, barely trying to throw punches. I was saying, watching this fight, they need to throw in the towel. So I don't want to, you can save that. Sometimes you got to save the fighter from themselves. Sometimes you got to make a judgment call. So it has nothing to do with him saying yes and all that stuff. Danny wanted a way out of that fight. He was actually hoping his father saved. And finally his father said, you know what, dude, enough is enough. I'm stopping the fight before you get hurt. Well, remember, Terence Crawford ended up having to fight Amir Khan instead of Danny Garcia because at the end of the day, Al Heyman was shuffling Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, and Sean Porter like dominoes. So that's basically what he was doing. Terence Crawford was never part of the equation. But now, like I said, you guys see why Terence Crawford didn't get to fight those dudes. He would have beat all of them. All these excuses about, listen, Terence Crawford would have beat Keith Thurman. Terence Crawford would have stopped all of them. Out of the two PBC fighters he fought, he stopped them. He stopped Sean Porter and he stopped Errol Spence. Y'all don't think he would have annihilated, eviscerated Danny Garcia? Y'all don't think he would have stopped Keith Thurman? Oh, I'm gonna definitely talk about Cool Boy Steph. That was crazy. He's still feeling the effects. He's still feeling the effects of that in a new fight. Now, also, let's talk about that too. Keep in mind, he been shelled because, and look what Al Heyman did to him. This is a former champion, but Al Heyman didn't even put him on the undercards. He put him on a prelim. This is a former champion, all because he defied Al Heyman. He put, you know what type of disrespect that is to lose one fight and get put on a prelim, not even get put on an undercard? All because he defied him and fought the monster. What was he supposed to do? This is $3 million. Some people saying he made like 5 for that fight. And so he basically refused to get shuffled by Al Heyman. Oh, you can fight Brandon Figueroa again and get like maybe at best 700,000-800,000. No, he took that $3 million. I mean, like I said before, I tried to warn people. I was told this back in 2019. I got the information, and this dude completely, I won't say who he was, but he told me back in 2019 that Al Heyman had no intentions on making Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford, and that he was going to try to do whatever it takes not to make that fight. That's what happens. That's what happens. Al Heyman have this thing where he wants to control everything. But y'all see the truth now. Y'all see the truth. For everybody that was sitting up here when I was criticizing Al Heyman, like I said before, Canelo get his money on time. The brothers, they don't get their money on. They the ones that be getting paid. You know what I'm saying? Payments in installments. Some don't get paid at all. Because according to some people, depending on who you listen to, they're saying Wilder didn't get paid for that Helenius fight. First of all this stuff about people they own promoters and all that kind of stuff, to a certain degree, that's cap. That Al Heyman will say these fighters is their own promoter so he don't get caught up in the Muhammad Ali Act. You can be a manager and I think an advisor, but you can't be a manager, an advisor, and a promoter. That's in violation of the Muhammad Ali Act. So what he do is he'll let these fighters say they're their own promoter, and then he'll use other promotional companies. So therefore, he's not in violation of the Muhammad Ali Act. Y'all gotta understand, I've been learning a lot of stuff since I started covering boxing. And like I said before, the powers that be, they listen to my videos, and that's okay. I've been ostracized. I can tell you right now that I've been blacklisted not to cover PBC, and I can tell you I have the proof too. I ain't gonna tell you who told me, but I've been blacklisted. I've been blacklisted from covering PBC fights because I told the truth. And I wasn't no Al Heyman stan. Not that I know of, all black. Yeah, I've been blacklisted. I've been blacklisted. I got proof too that I've been blacklisted. So there go your so-called black brother. That's your so-called black brother, Al Heyman. That's your power to the people. The same dude that paid a white boy that never had a professional boxing match in his life over almost $100 million. But then the niggas, they get paid in installments. So there you have it. But we'll talk more after the main event. It's your boy Town. I'm out. I don't want to see